You want to know what are the best stocks to buy now in a hot bull market. I'm going to share 5 stocks that I've been buying as well as picks from the community. So tons of stocks and commentary coming at you rapid fire. So we'll start with X and I'll read through some comments from followers. I want to involve the community as much as I can. We're also going to look at the community tab in YouTube, and I'll head to Discord and I'll share the 5 stocks that I've been buying recently. I'll actually show you the screenshots directly from Fidelity. So I asked the question, are you buying stocks recently at today's levels? I bought some Klavio and some Navitas, both as spec. They're small positions. They're what I call nice to haves. How about you? And as we go through this video, feel free to comment below and tell us what you think is attractive to buy at these levels. So Tony G in the place to be is holding some cash and waiting for a dip. Dylan is also buying Navitas, and I've been buying quite a bit of that. I'll show you the screenshots later. And then Tesla, which we'll talk about later as well. That's one that I have been adding to. I just did a video on Tuesday. Now with Tesla, we're going to get delivery numbers soon, and that could make the stock roll over. I think that the dollar cost average range is 165 to 175, but I certainly think it can go lower. And if you watch that video from Tuesday, it shows you some of the possibilities. I like the dollar cost average and I focus on the long term. So I actually hope that Tesla does go lower because I'd like to add more shares. So those delivery numbers are going to be huge. And I certainly could see the stock coming back to $150 or even less. But the technicals right now are telling us that if it holds up this 175 area, it could actually go to 190s and the 200s. But it's a very much a 50-50 ball, and the chart's not really going to tell you what the macro is, right? So here's another Klavio from Daniel. He's also buying TMDX, and I've seen that ticker several times over the last couple of days. And then a spec, SRFM, and trimming a few names that you can see on your screen, and adding to Zscaler and Snowflake. Now, Klavio is an interesting one. I've covered it several times on the channel. You can go back and watch some of those videos to get more due diligence. I thought it was attractive, $25 and less, and that was really the area that we focused on in Discord. On a recent video, I talked about, under $25 a share, I thought there's between 20 and 50% upside over the next 12 months. That's just my prediction, of course, not financial advice. Now, TMDX is one that I've seen several times. Let's just take a quick look here on Seeking Alpha. It looks like it's up 3.5% today. It does have strong growth. In fact, 158% revenue growth, the forward growth about 73%. Of course, this is not going to be a profitable company. It does have a non-GAAP forward PE of 423, but no current PE. You got an EV to sales TTM of 10.54. Price to sales is around a 10, the forward 6.61. So it looks like there's some pretty solid growth here. Profitability gets a C plus on Seeking Alpha. You can see some of the numbers like gross profit margin, 63%. It is losing about $42,000, $43,000 net income per employee TTM. So this is going to be one of those speculative type names, in my opinion, based off of just looking at it from a high level. And drop some comments below. Share some information about the company. And if you want me to do a deep dive on any of these stocks as we go through, drop a comment, let me know. So we got Gen 7 here, auto dripping. So periodic dollar cost averaging. Love it. Love to see it. Every week he's buying. This is a great way to do it, especially in a bull market. If you're a new investor, you don't know exactly how to buy. You're not trying to time it. You're just constantly buying. If you can consistently do that with periodic dollar cost averaging, this is a great strategy. So every single week he's buying these names: Broadcom, CrowdStrike, you can see on your screen, Snowflake, Palantir, Indie Semiconductor, and more. Ed, what's up, buddy? Also in Discord, added to Snowflake, Tesla, Delo, and another Klavio. And then new positions, GitLab and 4. Now 4 is one that came up in Discord this morning under a due diligence channel from Zach, and he feels like the risk reward is getting attractive at this price. I think he's added a starter position today. So just a quick headline: Shift 4 Payments is the name of the company. The ticker is 4. CEO said to reject buyout bids as too low. Pretty solid growth here. This is a stock I covered in 2023 on one of these best stocks to buy. I think it was in the 50s at that point. It's 67 now, but it has come down quite a bit from recent highs. You can see the 52-week range is $92.30 on the high side, $42.91 on the downside. So it has come down from 92 to 67. And according to Seeking Alpha here, the forward PE ratio about 22.8. The valuation grade's a C. Profitability ranking is a B. And then that peg gap TTM is a 1.28. It also has a forward non-gap peg ratio of 0.4. So this could certainly be something to explore here. The next one here from Jerry, and this is not to burst your bubble or anything like that, just my personal opinion. I think that ARM is very overvalued still at these levels. I'm not saying the stock can't go higher, and I do think it's a great company. I really do long term. It's just where it's at right now, the price doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, Seeking Alpha is showing a forward PE ratio of 104.68. And I personally personally don't think the growth is there to support that valuation. Now, I could be wrong. That's just my 2 cents. So here we got a CrowdStrike looking for a breakout. I will admit that a lot of members in Discord are actually looking to trim Crowd, but we were buying it, between $100 and $150 in that level. I do like CrowdStrike a lot. And you can see behind me, if you look, CrowdStrike, I got CrowdStrike in 2 places, including an autograph from the CEO there on the racing team. I mean, CrowdStrike is definitely one that I do like long term, but where it's at right now and how much it's ripped up, I mean, I think it will go higher. I think it's probably going to go to $400 with some time. So to your point here, looking for a breakout, I think that's very possible. I think you can see 400 plus. If it gets to that 400 plus level, I'll probably trim off a few shares, but I am still long term. And I have been long-term in the stock since 2019, roughly around the IPO. So next is Freedom. What's up, Freedom? He's buying Grayscale Trust. You can see some tickers here, BCHG, LTCN, and others on your screen, including Onion on. So the ticker here is ONON. So I joke around, Onion. I'm actually a little surprised. Over the past year, it's only up about 20%. I would have guessed it was up more than that because I see it all the time online. It seems like it's hyped quite a bit, and I don't really follow the company. I think it is a good company. A lot of people in Discord do own it. I'm just surprised that it's not up more than 19% over the past year. And just to clarify, that's on his watch list. So he's got a Firm, AMD, GitLab as well on his watch list. Wyatt, Zscaler, and Snowflake. I think these are 2 high quality companies. It's always tricky with these type of names of where to buy. With Snowflake, when we had the most recent earnings, I said that, it wasn't a great earnings. And I did a write-up on Discord. It was free. Actually, it was on Patreon for free. And I said that I thought the stock would come back to $150. I thought maybe it gets $150, even less. It did get to $151. So I was off by $1 and a few cents. And then recently we did have some news, of course, that the CEO bought shares, and we've been seeing some momentum back in Snowflake. Snowflake has been $150 or less for as long as we've covered it. We never wanted to overpay for it because it historically has been very expensive. It's getting more attractive, but the quarter just wasn't all that great. There are some headwinds, but I do like Snowflake long term. And then Zscaler, of course, another one that we liked. We have that at much lower cost basis. So it's not something I'm personally buying now, but I do like the company long term. And we covered it on chart day recently, and I'll show you a quick chart on that. So this was just yesterday, and I said same as last. So this is last. Probably bounces here if market does. If not, you can see 175. And it's really, you can see it's trying to form a base. We said this is a possibility if it goes lower, but it's trying to kind of bottom right where it's at. It doesn't mean it can't go lower. This is kind of where it's trying to find some sea legs right now. It's still above the 200-day moving average, and it's still above this, S3. So down here would be ideal, but I don't think this is a terrible DCA ad, to be honest with you. I just think that there's a possibility it could go lower. And you have to keep in mind, the stock was, $85 here, $84.93, and it ripped from 85 to 259. So some consolidation is in order, and it certainly could go lower, especially if the overall market sells off. Super Hans added Hood and SMCI. We've got HIMS, ASPN, and Palantir. Palantir is another one too. That thing's ripped pretty hard. It has pulled back here recently, but if you look year to date, it's up 40%. Over the last year, it's up 189%. So I'm not saying it can't go higher. And I do think eventually it'll consolidate, probably go over $30, assuming we stay in a bull market and retail stays on board with it. But it certainly is expensive in these ranges. And it's just something to keep in mind. I do own the stock and I'm bullish long term. And then we have ODD and then KSPI on X. So next I'm going to go into the YouTube community tab. I did the same thing, asked a question yesterday, got a bunch of responses. I'll go through and I'll give commentary like I just did. I'm also going to share 5 stocks that I've been buying recently in my $1.9 million taxable brokerage. All right, so you might have seen this post. It's in the community tab on YouTube. And if you don't use that community tab, I recommend it because I post in there frequently. And I'm using the golden glizzy picture here just to get your attention. But I asked the exact same question that I asked on X. Okay, so DCAing into ETF QQQ, recently bought Tesla under 175 and Enphase, waiting for Klavio to get back under 25. That is our price target point where we've been buying it in Discord. We've got a Klavio and ACMR. Now ACMR, that thing has ripped since we recommended it on the channel. You can see over the past year, this stock is up 167%. So this has been a great winner for us, kind of a speculative play. It does have profitability metrics, but it has exposure to China, which increases reduces the risk, so I consider it spec, even though if you look at the numbers are pretty solid. Here we've got RDW below $3, already up nicely. Rocket Lab, we'll talk about Rocket Lab here soon. More Tesla, more Klavio. Also scheduled DCA into Amazon, Microsoft, and nvda every 2 weeks. So again, this is that periodic dollar cost averaging. This can be a great approach. Nick here got in on FLGC, hoping to transfer profits into Tesla. Quantum Facts, looks like he's buying some spec stocks. You can see the list here, including Wolf and Rocket Lab and Navitas. Retrovirus bought Melly heavily. We've got Luke here. He says he nibbled quite a bit recently, considering the market has appreciated so much. Delo, ACLS, Starbucks, Tesla, MAA, Snowflake, and Adobe. ACLS was a fired up wealth buy in Discord back in 2021. The stock ripped. It was up 600%. Took profits on that. I now own 200 house shares. Thinking of increasing positions in GitLab, Zscaler, and Pinterest. What do you think? So my response to that is I do like Zscaler and I do like GitLab. Pinterest, it's an interesting one, but the problem is so I like to focus on companies that have recurring revenue that are focused on enterprise. And Pinterest is going to have to focus really on advertising. It's very much B2C. It's very cyclical. There's not that recurring revenue. Apps, I always say apps are tough. I'm not saying you can't invest in apps. I personally avoid them for the most part for my portfolio. Enphase, Tesla, and Snow. Now, we've talked about those plenty of times on the channel. So if you're new here and you like these type of stocks, you like the stock picks you see so far, we're focused really on outperforming the market and trying to get to financial freedom. So at some point, I'm going to be changing these profits. I'm going to morph the profits into passive income, into dividend income. But if you're focused on disruptive technology and growth and trying to outperform the market, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, click that bell for notifications. And certainly check out the channel because there are a ton of videos on all three of those stocks, Enphase, Tesla, and Snow. And Frederick here, he picked up some Rivian and Symbiotic. TK here hasn't bought anything since September, October dump. So doubled down on holdings then, been riding the wave ever since, waiting for another correction. Well, at least you're along the market. That's certainly the positive there. You know, when you're in a bull market, it's tough. I mean, there could be another correction, but bull markets, you just never know it. But it could last longer than you think. You know, the stocks always go much higher on the upside than you think they will, and they go much lower than you think they will on the downside. So it can be tricky there. You know, obviously you got to do what's best for your money, and it sounds like you've got a good handle on what you're doing there. But oftentimes in these type of markets, I still look for opportunities. Now, this person has his portfolio baked out. So he's got his blueprint baked out. I'm in the same situation. So I'm focused more on those nice to have, those speculative stocks, those smaller cap stocks. Now, small cap stocks, if you look at the data on small caps, now I posted this in Discord this morning. It's in the elite channels under Eric's watch list, talking about US small caps. Now, as I do this, I'm realizing I'm giving away one of the stock tickers that I'm looking at. I haven't been buying it yet, but it's on my watch list. The company you can see there is Photronics. The ticker is PLAB. I did a due diligence write-up last week, and it's for all Patreon members. You know, if you haven't checked out our Patreon, guys, there's actually a free trial right now, a 7-day free trial to Elite to get access to all this. You have absolutely nothing to lose, no strings attached. We know it's good. That's why we give a free trial. You can join us right now and read through all this stuff. Go to patreon.com/firedupwealth. Give it a chance. So US small caps are suffering the worst run of performance relative to large cap in more than 20 years. Now, I said to the gang, it's probably a little bit early right now for small caps because they're going to rely on interest rates going the other direction. We know the Fed's not cutting rates. We know that they're not cutting rates 6 times, and a lot of people think 3 times, but it's going to be later in the year. And so it might be a little bit premature here, but if I've already got my portfolio baked out, I'm focusing more on these small cap stocks, and I'll share those buys here later. So I generally like to accumulate shares of companies when I see opportunity. When everybody else wants to throw them in the trash, that's generally when I like to buy. That's what we did throughout 2022, and we bought a lot of the high quality names that we've talked about on this video. And of course, my portfolio is baked out. So if you're a new investor, you don't have a blueprint, you don't have a portfolio baked out, these small caps and these spec stocks probably aren't your focus. We've got some Tesla here and Snowflake at 160. Is there a golden ruby pizza slice? Not that I know of. I just saw the golden glizzy. Thought I'd share that with you. Bought a little AEHR and APLD as well as Path and loaded up on Tesla and Apple. I recently did a video on Apple, and it's really just sharing what's going on with the DOJ, the antitrust suit. Definitely check that out. I think it's just good information to know if you're investing. I am bullish on Apple long term. I don't think much will happen from that suit, maybe some fines, but it is, just for reference, it's the largest lawsuit, DOJ suit we've seen since Microsoft back in the 1990s, so 25 years. L. Donahue, big fan, love the content. I appreciate it very much. Sometimes it's hard being a creator because not every, people that even do like the content, they don't always tell you. So any kind of feedback like this, it really helps me. It motivates me so that I make more content for you guys. So thank you. Would be curious to hear your thoughts on Nike. I'd be glad to share my thoughts on Nike. So we did talk about this on Chart Day yesterday, and I did include that for all Patreon levels. So you could, again, join the elite tier and go watch Chart Day yesterday. You can watch all of the elite videos that we've done over the past 4 years absolutely free for 1 week. So Nike, we talked about yesterday. Here's the thing. The growth is just not really there right now. It's going through some headwinds. It's a high quality company. I've been long Nike since 2012. What I shared yesterday with the gang is right here. We said downside range was 94. So we said range 94 to 114. It's going to depend on earnings. Of course, the earnings weren't that great. The stock is kind of holding in that range. It's a little below $94. And we said yesterday that it's possible you see something like 85 to 88. This previous low back in September of 2022 is $82. So it's hard to believe that it would come down that low, considering you're talking about a year and a half, since it happened. Now, this is a trend line. We're looking at yearly charts. We're looking at daily candles. So this is more for long-term investing, not necessarily day trading or swing trading, anything like that. But you can see back here, $83.22. Then we had $88.66 September of 2023. So basically 1 year, we had a kind of retest level, $5 higher or so. And you can see that we're fighting on this trend line. It got slightly under that trend line, so it probably finds some buyers in here. But because you have this gap down, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw something like 85 to 88. And here's what I'm talking about with the growth. Only 1.89% year-over-year growth, and that forward revenue growth is only 4.33%. It does pay a dividend, but it's only 1.57%. And when yields are this high, that's not terribly attractive to someone that's searching for dividend yield. And on the valuation, you can look at this. The gap forward PE is about a 26. So for that growth, you could say that it's still pretty expensive, although the market's going to pay a premium for a high quality name like Nike. This person asked me my thoughts on ALAB, the recent IPO. Honestly, I think it's expensive. It's got a lot of hype and trading behind it. It is down 5% today, but if you look at this stock, it did rip from $62, now $75.80. It's $11.56 billion market cap. I like the company. I just don't know about $75 a share right now. I would need to see a few more earnings before I'd be more comfortable with the company. That's just my 2 cents. This person's been adding Snowflake, DCA. We've got Broadcom and NVIDIA. High quality names here. NEE, NEP, PLD, DLR, Main, Google, Tesla, AEHR again, ACLS. So you got a lot of semiconductor names, these small caps people are going after. We've got UiPath. We've got XMTR. Matthew has a really helpful comment here. He says that he knows what to buy, but he won't give out his homework. Figure it out, kids. So there's one of those YouTube trolls that, just likes to be the way he is. So thanks, Matthew, for your contribution. Bruh. And then we've got Rocket Lab and we've got VRSSF. And then so far this week, DCA on Paycom, Klavio, SPRX, and ACLS. Now, speaking of SPRX, if you're not familiar with what SPRX is, that's going to be the Spear Alpha Invest ETF. That thing absolutely crushed the market last year. You can see the Spear Alpha ETF over the past year, it's outperformed, 67.24%. For reference, the QQQ is up about 45%. So if you're interested in an ETF that captures these secular growth trends, these mega trends that we talk about on this channel, check out this ETF. The ticker is SPRX. So next, I'm going to share the 5 stocks that I've been buying recently in my $1.9 million portfolio. If you're new here and this video is helpful, this type of content is helpful, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that bell for notifications. And I want to hear from all of you. Drop a comment below. Let me know what stocks you're buying now. And if you want to return the favor for the effort that I put into this video, please drop me a like. I appreciate it very much. One of the channels in Discord is the investing trade floor. Now, this is intended for long-term investing, and I just want to give you a sneak peek here. And of course, none of this is financial advice. We're an investing community, like-minded investors with the same goals, and we're sharing information, trying to have strength in numbers and try to outperform the market together. We share our due diligence, we share information with each other, but we're not into herd mentality, and we're not telling other people what to do with their money. So just some recent buys today: Zscaler, we got some Pfizer, more Zscaler, we got 4, we got a trim on SCHD, we got BRZE, we got Braze there, Zscaler again, and then we've got a couple 401k buys, IBIT, and then that Spear Alpha ETF, the SPRX. Now this top channel here is going to show you all of my buys, it's going to show you my holdings, everything in here, and I share them in real time. Within seconds, when something fills on Fidelity, I share a screenshot right in this channel. I'm going back all the way to March 14th. You can see I bought some Tesla, about $165. Started buying Navitas at $477, but I did tell the gang dollar cost average, and it can certainly go much lower. You can see 100 shares of Klavio here at $23.47, another 100 shares at $22.97. Just sharing some technical analysis where I think stocks might go. Some more Navitas at $467, some more Navitas again, 200 shares at $459. Rocket Lab under $4 DCA. I bought some 200 shares at $3.97. More Navitas at $447. That was 350 shares, another 200 shares at $4.35, and another 250 shares of Navitas at $4.27. Now, I do consider this spec, so be careful with it. I think it can certainly go lower. I like it as a speculative play. It's a small position in my portfolio. And I said here, I won't be shocked if Navitas ends up at $2.50 or $7. I know it's a big range. I know that a lot of people on YouTube don't want to hear that. I'm not trying to pretend that I have some crystal ball where I know exactly where a stock's going to go. I dollar cost average ranges and stocks that I like, and I'm thinking long term. So something like this, Navitas, I look at it as a 10x or 0, a 5-year plus holding, 2030 and beyond. And then there's a second portfolio. We started this portfolio new in 2022, trying to show new investors how to invest in a bear market, how to DCA correctly. So if you join the first tier in Patreon, that's the Eric's Aliens, you'll have access to this portfolio, but not my primary account. And again, you have a 7-day free trial to Elite where you can see my primary account. But in the community portfolio, we bought a little bit of Perion. This is going to be smaller because it's a much smaller portfolio. This is about $85,000 versus $1.9 million on the main. And then we also added Navitas. This is a new position. We bought some at $447, 60 shares, another 60 shares at $4.27. If this video is helpful, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Appreciate your time and attention. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.